वासुदेवाय।
ॐ नमो भगवते 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 वासुदेवाय।
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी।
गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन।
यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन।
यमुना तीरवनचारी।
यमुना तीरवनचारी।
यमुना तीरवनचारी।
यमुना तीरवनचारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी।
गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन।
यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन।
यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन।
यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन।
यमुना तीरवनचारी।
यमुना तीरवनचारी।
यमुना तीरवनचारी।
यमुना तीरवनचारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
जय राधा गोविंद राधा गोविंद राधा गोविंद श्री राधे।
जय राधा गोविंद राधा गोविंद राधा गोविंद श्री राधे।
जय निताय सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि। जय निताय सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि।
जय निताय सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि। जय निताय सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि।
जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा।
जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा।
हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। नमाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंज राधा कुंज गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। मथुरा धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। सामवेद भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Paranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Desharane. Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu Krishne Bhatirastu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So today we'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga, text 26 to text 30. So text 26. Yato yato nishchalati.
Yato yato nishchalati.
Manaschanchalamastiram.
Manaschanchalamastiram.
Tatastato niyamyaitat.
Tatastato niyameyat.
Atmanyeva vasham nayet.
Atmanyeva vasham nayet.
So word by word, yataha yataha,
Yataha yataha.
wherever.
Wherever.
Nishchalati
Nishchalati.
becomes verily agitated.
Becomes verily agitated.
Manaha,
Manaha.
the mind.
The mind.
Chanchalam,
Chanchalam.
flickering.
Flickering.
Astiram,
Astiram.
unsteady.
Unsteady.
Tataha tataha,
Tataha tataha.
from there.
From there.
Niyamya,
Niyamya.
regulating.
Regulating.
Etat,
Etat.
this.
This.
Atmani,
Atmani.
in the self.
In the self.
Eva,
Eva.
certainly.
Certainly.
Vasham,
Vasham.
control.
Control.
Nae,
Nayat.
must bring under.
Must bring under.
Translation: from wherever the mind
From wherever the mind
wanders due to its flickering
wanders due to its flickering
and unsteady nature,
and unsteady nature,
one must certainly
one must certainly
withdraw it
withdraw it
and bring it back
and bring it back
under the control
under the control
of the self.
of the self.
Okay, so this is in the last verse we were discussing about how Krishna was mentioning step by step one should get situated in trance. Shanay shanay ruparamit buddhya dhriti grahitaya atma samstam mana kritva na kinchidapi chintayet. So here Krishna is continuing. The last verse he was mentioning about atma samstam mana kritva. The mind should be established within atma. So atma is the consciousness. So we can understand that nothing can be experienced without the presence of consciousness. So if we want to experience anything in this world, we need to have consciousness as the basis, as a fundamental, and then everything else comes into existence. After consciousness comes into existence. So in this particular verse, verse 26, Krishna is talking about yato yato nishchalati manaschanchalam astiram. Nishchalati it is going around, roaming. So the nature of the mind is that it does not stay at one place. If we look at our own existence, from the time in the morning when we wake up until the time when we go to sleep, if we try and understand what is going on in our mind, we can notice that it is constantly going after one thing, after another thing, after another thing, after another thing. Right? It's never situated at one place. So that's why when we have this mantra, why do we have mantra? Man means mind, tra means trayate. So that which liberates the mind, that is what is mantra. So what is happening? For example, when we are saying the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, let's say 3 times together. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
So what is happening when we are concentrating on these sound vibrations of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra? The attention of the mind is focusing on the mantra.
Yes.
So this is what mantra is doing. So what is the nature of the mind? Mind wants to go from one place to another place to another place. It does not want to stay at one place. It wants constantly. That is what Arjuna actually says. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna. He says in another place. He says that, oh Krishna, this mind is very chanchala. Chanchala is it doesn't stay at one place. Pramathi balavad dhridam. He says that it is obstinate and it obstinately wants to go to different places. And he says, Tasmad aham nigraham manye vayuriva sudushkara. If I want to control it, it is even difficult than controlling the wind. We know, like, this storm's warning has come. When the storm comes, everything goes out of control, right? No one can. It creates a lot of havoc when the storm comes. So, can we control the storm or wind? We can never control it. So, Arjuna actually gives the example of that. He says that to control the mind is like controlling the wind or the storm. It's not possible. So, this is one of the way Krishna is saying. Yeah? So he's saying that yato nischalati manaschanchalam astira. So the mind is going. Tatas tatat niyam metat atmanyeva vasham nayat. So what he says is, we have to. So one of the ways is mantra. So when we are focusing on the Mahamantra, the mind has to focus on the mantra. Now what happens is, people are saying the mantra, but their mind is not on the mantra. They're saying the mantra. They are hearing the mantra, but their mind is not on the mantra.
Yes.
So that can happen. So then it is not giving the actual benefit that it should be giving. So the main thing is, where is mind focused? We can do lots and lots of things, but if the mind is not focused, the mind is going around here and there, then the goal of doing that activity is not really established. For example, if someone is doing any kind of activity in the material world, it need not be spiritual activity. It can be any activity, like working in the office or working at home, cooking, or different activities that everyone does in the day-to-day life. If we are doing that activity without our mind being focused in doing that activity, we will not be able to do it properly, right? So if someone, say someone is cooking something and their mind is not actually in the place of cooking, their mind is somewhere else, then they might actually put some ingredient which they should not be putting. They might put salt instead of sugar, or sugar instead of salt, or they might put more things that should not be put in. Why? Because the mind was not getting focused. We are doing something, but the mind was not focused. So this is an important thing. So one way, the way that a devotee does this is focusing on the mantra. So when the mind is focused on the mantra, it is one pointed. So then it is just there. Then we attain the peace that we want. Another way is the jnani. The jnanis, their way is trying to. So whenever the mind is going out, so mind is going out means mind has got lots of thoughts, because that's what mind is all about. So when we are sitting here, we are thinking what is going to happen after 1 hour, what is going to happen after 2 hours, what is going to happen the next day, what is going to happen the next month. I have to plan for the next year, I have to plan for the next 5 years. The mind will keep going here and there. So what is it? It's actually the thoughts that are coming in the mind. So the jnani's way of what Krishna says here is, the jnani would say if some thought is coming, the jnani will ask the question, whose thought is this is? So what will be the answer? My thought. Then the next question will be, who am I? So when we ask the question, who am I? We get, it's not a simple answer. If we are on a bodily platform, the answer will be very simple, who am I? I'll say I am this, my name is this. But that's not me, it's my name. It's not who I am. Who am I? Or I might say I am from this place. Again, that's not me. That's which place I am from. So basically, the real answer of who am I is when we get to the depth of that, we'll understand that aham brahmasmi. That is the real answer of who am I. Brahmasmi is that we are eternally part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of God. Mama eva amsha, jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad-Gita. Of course, from the perspective of Jnani, again there is a difference, Bhakta and Jnani. A Bhakta is always wanting to serve the Lord. They are, this Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dhadavrata namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad-Gita that the devotee is constantly engaged in loving devotional service of the Lord. It does not stop at the time of liberation. It continues even after liberation. That is devotee. But for a jnani, what happens is, for a jnani, it is Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. So their state of existence is that once I attain Brahman, then there is nothing else to be attained. Because the jnani's perspective is that there is only one and there is nothing else. So all this separation that is being seen is because I am considering myself as this body, mind. That's why I am seeing all this separation. So from a jnani's perspective, basically the body, the jiva is the body, the jagat and Ishwar. Jiva, jagat and Ishwara. Jiva is us as a living entities with this particular body. Jagat is the whole world that we see. And Ishwara is the controller of the whole world. For a jnani, what happens is, they say that all these three aspects are coming into existence because I am thinking I am a jiva. Once I know that I am Brahman, then there is only Brahman that exists. There is nothing else that exists. So these are the two different viewpoints in spiritual life. But Krishna, we know, Krishna actually mentions, in the verse, Krishna mentions Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. He does not say that Kirtan stops at certain point in time, after liberation. He doesn't say Kirtan until the point of we are in a jiva state. He doesn't say that. He says Nitya Yukta Upasate. So according to Krishna, that living entity's constant link to him exists eternally. It's not that after liberation it stops. So this is the difference. But whatever be the path, it can be a path of a bhakta or it can be a path of a jnani. The main aspect here is somehow or other the mind has to come under control. And when the mind is controlled, one experiences a kind of happiness which can never be experienced in any other way. All other kinds of happiness that we experience is dependent on the senses and the mind. The mind going after the sense objects. So there is a link between the senses and the mind. So the senses are getting us some kind of input. And then depending on what our samskaras are, chitta. So it is called antahakarana. Antahakarana means, karana is the senses. So we have got a bahir karana. Bahir means external senses. The external senses are what? Eyes, ears, nose, tongue and touch. Right? Jnanendriyas it is called. The knowledge acquiring senses. There is antahakarana as well. The inside senses. Inside senses is man, buddhi, chitta and ahankara. Those are the inside senses. So mind is, what is mind? Mind is group of thoughts, continuous thoughts. That is what mind is. What is buddhi? Buddhi is helping us to distinguish between what is right and what is wrong. So it is a kind of logical dissection of our thoughts. That is buddhi. Then chitta is there. Chitta is what is a unlimited storehouse of all our experiences. Each and every experience that we are having from moment to moment in this life and in the innumerable previous lives has been unlimitedly stored within the chitta. So what is happening is, basing on what experiences we have in the chitta, whatever satisfies us, we go after that. That is called raga. And then whatever in the chitta, whatever is we don't like, we run away from it. That is called dvesha. So this is what is ichha dvesha samudhena dvandva mohena bharata. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad-Gita, this is what is in this particular type of body. I've got this chitta, which is an unlimited storage of each and every experience that I have had since time immemorial. And basing on what is liking with the chitta, I will run after it, I get attached to it. What is the impressions that are bad in the chitta, I run away from it. So all this is happening because there is avidya. So this is what is called in Yoga Sutras, they talk about pancha klesha, 5 kinds of impurities that we have. That is said in Yoga Sutra, Patanjali. He talks about the first is avidya. It starts with ignorance. Avidya is what? Avidya is when I think that this is the only reality. My body is the only reality. And all the happiness that I can get is only through the body. That is avidya. When I know that there can be a happiness that can be, that is what Krishna mentioned. We have read that before. Sukham atyantikam yattad buddhi grahyam atindriya. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad-Gita that atindriya. So some kind of happiness that is experienced not on the basis of sense coming in touch with the sense objects, but which is independent of that. And if we can get established ourselves in that situation, in that state, that is what is Krishna says in this verse. Tatas tatat niyamya atmanyeva vashamnaya. So whenever so for example, for a bhakta, always trying to remember the lotus feet of the Lord. So when we are doing some activity, we cannot do that, obviously. So if someone is engaged in some office work or someone is doing some cooking or any other activity, at that particular moment when one is doing that activity, one cannot remember the Lord at that particular moment. But what one can do is, one can, before doing the activity, one can say that this is an offering at your lotus feet. So that means, once we have done that, that attitude, if we have that attitude, then whatever activity is being done afterwards, it's like an offering at the lotus feet of the Lord. Yajna artha karmana anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, all the activities has to be performed for the Yajna Purusha. That is Vishnu, Krishna. Anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. Otherwise, in this world, there is karma bandhana. So if I do any activity, and while doing that activity, even an iota of inclination I have that, I have to get something out of this, some praise or something out of it. That means that means I'm attached to that activity. And if I'm attached to the activity, I have to continue to take birth after birth after birth after birth. Because by being attached to the activity, I am making myself understand that this is the only reality. There is no other reality than this. But when we do the activity as an offering of love for the Lord, then the results are not attached to us. And when the results are not attached to us, we are slowly coming out of that. So this is like a vicious circle, as they say. Because the problem is the chitta is there. Unlimited impressions that we have since time immemorial. And that is what is causing us to go after some things. So when we understand this and when we try and bring back the mind to our self, because everything is, so the original situation of the mind is within the self. So what happens when there is deep sleep, for example? There are no thoughts in deep sleep. So the mind is situated within the self and there are no thoughts. But then once we wake up, immediately there are lots and lots of thoughts. So if someone can be in the state of deep sleep while being awake, that is the state of liberation. That's when one can be called Jivan Mukta. Even while remaining Iha Yasya Hare Dasya Karmana Manasa Gira Nikhilaswapi Avasthasu Jivan Mukta Sa Uchyate. It is mentioned in the scriptures that iha yasya, while remaining in this body, iha harer dasya, one is constantly in the situation of as a servitude of the Lord. Through karmana, manasa and gira, through the activities, through the mind and through the speech. Karmana, manasa, gira. Nikhilasva api avasthasu jivan mukta sauchyate. It is said that even while remaining in this material world, the person is actually in a liberated state. So that is the power of the verses that we are learning here. So we'll go to the next verse, which is text 27. Prashantamanasam hyenam
Prashantamanasam hyenam
yoginam sukhamuttamam
yoginam sukhamuttamam
upayati shantarajasam
upayati shantarajasam
brahmabhuta akalmasham.
brahmabhuta akalmasham.
The word by word is prashanta,
Prashanta,
peaceful, fixed
Peaceful.
on the lotus feet of Krishna.
fixed on the lotus feet of Krishna.
Manasam,
Manasam,
whose mind?
whose mind?
He, certainly.
Certainly.
Enam,
Enam,
this. Yoginam,
yoginam,
yogi.
yogi.
Sukham,
Sukham,
happiness.
happiness.
Uttamam,
Uttamam,
the highest.
the highest.
Upayati,
Upayati,
attains.
attains.
Shantarajasam,
Shantarajasam,
his passion pacified.
his passion pacified.
Brahmabhutam,
Brahmabhutam,
liberation by
liberation by
identification with the Absolute.
identification with the Absolute.
Akalmasham,
Akalmasham,
freed from all past
freed from all past
sinful reactions.
sinful reactions.
The translation is the yogi
The yogi,
whose mind is fixed on me
whose mind is fixed on me,
verily attains
the
highest perfection
highest perfection
of transcendental happiness.
of transcendental happiness.
He is beyond
He is beyond
the mode of passion.
the mode of passion.
He realizes
He realizes
his qualitative identity
his qualitative identity
with the Supreme,
with the Supreme,
and thus
and thus
he is freed
he is freed
from all reactions
from all reactions
to past deeds.
to past deeds.
Okay, so Prashanta Manasam Hyenam Yoginam Sukham Uttamam. Uttamam is if you look at the word Uttamam there, Uttama means Udgata Tamam. Udgata means one is transcending, one is going above the Tama. Tama is the mode of ignorance. And then in the next line, Krishna says Upayati Shanta Rajasam. So one is going beyond the modes of material nature. Mamchayo Avya Bicharena Bhakti Yogena Sevate Sagunan Samatite Tan Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad-Gita that if someone is engaged in Avya Bhicharini Bhakti, Avya Bhicharini means constant loving devotional service to the Lord. Ananya Cheta Satatam Yo Mam Smarati Nityasha. Krishna mentioned in Bhagavad Gita that if someone's mind is constantly remembering the Lord, Smarati, Nityasha, Krishna says Tasyaham Sulabha Partha. To such a person I am easily available. Why I am easily available? Nitya Yuktasya Yogina. Because such a person is constantly linking with me. So this is the important part here. When one is constantly trying to remember the Lord, the mind is constantly... So what happens is when we are engaged in a particular activity, the mind is engaged in that activity. So at that time we cannot remember the Lord. But what are we doing when we don't have anything to do? That is the most important point here. So generally people call hobby, right? What is your hobby? Why do people ask that question? What is your hobby? Because you want to know the person in a better way. Because whatever they do as a hobby, that is something that they like. That's why they're doing it as a hobby. So if the hobby of a person is to remember the Lord, then what happens? One is actually in a liberated state of existence, literally. So what does that mean? Whenever there is free time, the mind is naturally going to the Lord. But it needs practice. So abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasa nanya gamina paramam purusham divyam yati partha anuchintaya. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita. He says that Abhyasa yoga yuktena. Abhyasa is practice. When one is chetasa na anya gamina, the mind should not go anywhere else. So the abhyasa for the mind, the practice for the mind is that it is constantly going to Krishna, naturally. And that is a natural position actually. The Jivara Swarupaya Krishnera Nitya Das. It is mentioned in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita that our natural position is that we are always in touch with Krishna. That is a natural position. Each and every living entity. Some know it, some don't know it. But everyone is. An interesting example is the effect is always there. For example, so a child might not know that touching fire will cause burn, and might just go and touch the fire. But the fire has got its own property. The property of the fire is that it will burn. It will not depend on who is going to touch the fire. It will just burn. But the person should have the knowledge that this is fire and I should not touch it, otherwise I'll get burned. So the understanding here is that the effect of engaging in these discussions, or somehow or other people hearing the holy names of the Lord, has its effect. It does not matter who the person is. It has an effect. There is this verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. It says, Sanketya parihasam va stoba helana eva va vaikuntha nama grahanam asheshaga haram vidu. It says that, like for example, there are these devotees who will go in the street and do Harinam Sankirtan, chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Some people might who have taken off their impurities might have a natural attraction for it, but some people might just make fun of it. So it says, that verse in Srimad Bhagavatam is saying that if someone is even making fun of it, or someone is criticizing it or something, the power of the Vaikuntha Nama Grahanam, Ashesh Aga Haram Vidu. What it is saying is, unlimited sins are automatically taken away, even in an unknowing way, by the power of the names of the Lord. So this is it is Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhinatvat Nama Namino. It is mentioned in the scriptures that the holy names of the Lord is like Chintamani. Chintamani is a touchstone which can give whatever one wants. But then sometimes people might say that I'm chanting but I'm not getting what I want. So this is, and it is actually dependent on one's surrender onto the holy names of the Lord. So the more one surrenders, the more one knows the power of the holy names of the Lord. So this is Chintamani. So what Nama Chintamani Krishna, Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. It is Chaitanya. It is full of consciousness. And Rasa Vigraha. Rasa means total taste. So just like if someone likes something to eat, and if you are given that food to eat, one will just be in a different world altogether with that taste, right? And one wants to be in that world forever. So that is the power of the holy name. So so there is Nama Bhasa and Shuddha Nama. There are two things. Nama Bhasa means one is getting some kind of taste for the holy names of the Lord. Shuddha Nama is prema. That is when one is in a liberated state of existence. Then it does not matter where one is situated. One might be even in a hellish place, but it won't matter because one totally knows that one is an eternal part and parcel of Krishna. So the example is that of Bali Maharaj, for example. And Bali Maharaj, he was the grandson of Prahlad, and Krishna incarnated as Vamana Avatar, the dwarf Brahmana. And he went to Bali Maharaj and he said that I want 3 steps of land from you. And his Bali Maharaj's Guru Shukracharya, he is the Daitya Guru Shukracharya. And Bali Maharaj was actually in the family of demons, right? Because Hiranyakashipu was his forefather. So Hiranyakashipu's son was Prahlad. Prahlad's son was Virochana. Virochana's son was Bali. And so basically they are coming in the lineage of Daitya. So So basically, Vamana Avatar came in, and then Daitya Guru Shukracharya said that don't give anything to this person. He is Vishnu disguised as Brahmana. But Bali Maharaj said that no, I have to give it. So that was his purity of devotional service, because he was grandson of Prahlad. So generally they actually say that more than getting the traits of the parents' generation, generally the generation gets the traits of the grandparents' generation. That's what they generally say. And we see very clearly here between Bali Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj, right? Prahlad is a grandfather and Bali is a grandson. So here, so basically, finally he disregards Shukracharya's instruction. And one of the learnings there is that if one is totally surrendered onto the Lord, then one does not need Devarshi Bhutapta Nrinam Pitranam Na Kinkaram Naim Runicha Rajan Sarvatmanaye Sharanam Sharanyam Gato Mukundam Parivritya Kartum. It is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam that when one is totally surrendered to Mukunda, Krishna, all kinds of debt is gone away. So when we are born, there are a lot of debts that we have. Like we have a debt for Deva, the demigods, the rishis who have given us the knowledge. Nirnam, all the living entities, Pitranam, our forefathers. So all these different debts are there we have. But Sarvatmanaye Sharanam Sharanyam. So if someone has surrendered oneself to Sarvatma, Sarvatma is Krishna's another name, because he's there as Paramatma in the heart of all the living entities. Gato Mukundam Parivritya Kartum. So one does not have any obligations. So this is what happens in Bali Maharaj's story. So he then says that he disregards Shukracharya's saying that you should not give. He gives, and then Vamanadev becomes huge. And then with one step, he has Bhur Bhuva, another step he has Swaha. He has basically all the planetary systems done. And he says, the third step, where should I keep? And then Bali Maharaj says, please keep it on my hand. That is Atma Nivedana, total self-surrender. And then it is said that he goes to the Patala Loka. He gets the Patala Loka, but Vishnu himself is there as the doorkeeper there. That's what it is said. So this is what I'm saying here is that the location of the person who has surrendered unto the Lord doesn't matter. They can be located anywhere. It doesn't matter. Anywhere in the whole universal system. It is not necessary that they should remain in the spiritual world. They can actually come to the material world and they can engage in these discussions about the Lord. And when they are engaged in these discussions about the Lord, they are actually in the spiritual planet. Narad Muni says, he says that, actually Krishna says to Narad Muni, he says that, Naham Vasami Vaikunthe. I am not in Vaikuntha. Yoginam Hridayeshubha. I am not in the heart of the yogis. Yatra Gayanti Mad Bhaktya Tatra Tishtami Narada. Wherever my devotees are singing my glories, I am there. Just like Hanumanji's case is there. Wherever Ram's glorification happens, Hanumanji is there. That's what we say. So this is so what are we learning from this particular verse here? Verse 27. It is basically Brahma Bhuta Akalmasham. So we are going to that stage of Brahma Bhuta. Brahma Bhuta stage is that where one knows that all these external things are just external. It has no actual connection with me. That is Brahma Bhuta stage. So next we go to the next verse. Yunjan evam sadatmanam.
Yunjan evam sadatmanam.
Yogi vigata kalmashah.
Yogi vigata kalmashah.
Sukhena brahma samsparsham.
Sukhena brahma samsparsham.
Atyantam sukham ashnute.
Atyantam sukham ashrute.
The word by word is Yunjan.
Yunjan.
Engaging in yoga practice.
Engaging in yoga practice.
Evam.
Evam.
Thus.
Sada.
Always.
Always.
Atmanam.
Atmanam.
The self.
The self.
Yogi.
Yogi.
one who is in touch with the Supreme
One
Self,
One who is in touch with the Supreme Self,
Vigata,
Vigata,
freed from Kalmashaha,
Kalmashaha,
all material contamination,
all material contamination,
Sukhena,
Sukhena,
in transcendental happiness,
in transcendental happiness,
Brahmasparsham,
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 being in constant touch
being in constant touch
with the Supreme,
with
with the Supreme,
Atyantam,
Atyantam,
the highest,
the highest,
Sukham,
Sukham,
happiness,
happiness,
Ashnute,
Ashnute,
attains.
attains.
So the translation here is, thus the self-controlled yogi,
thus the self-controlled yogi,
constantly engaged in yoga practice, becomes free
becomes free
from all material contamination
from all material contamination
and achieves
and
the highest stage
the highest stage
of perfect happiness
of
Perfect happiness
in transcendental loving service
in transcendental loving service
to the Lord.
to the Lord.
So, Yunjan eva sadatmanam yogi vigata kalmasha. Yunjan evam sadatmanam. Yunjan is the connection. Evam certainly, sada always, atmanam, within the self. So, as we were discussing in the first verse, the 26th verse, we were talking about the antahakarana, right? The four aspects of the inner senses. That is the manas, chitta, buddhi and ahankara. So mana, the thoughts, chitta, buddhi is the intelligence, chitta is the storage of all the accumulated experiences, and ahankara. Ahankara is that part of the antakarana which is connecting our eternal self with the temporary body. So ahankara vimudhatma karta hamiti manyate. It is mentioned by Krishna that prakriti kriyamanani gune karmani sarvasha. So actually all the activities are being done by the modes of material nature. So we are in the mode of goodness now. So we are engaging in these discussions of Bhagavad-Gita. When we are in mode of passion, we will be engaged in sense gratification, trying to enjoy the senses as much as we can. When we are in mode of ignorance, we'll be totally lazy. So these modes are constantly acting on the body and the mind. So our real existence is above these three modes of nature. So the real us is someone who is witnessing all these modes constantly happening towards us. So that's why Krishna says that actually all the activities are being done by the modes of material nature. Prakriti kriyamanani gune karmani sarvasha yah pashyati tathatmanam akartaram sa pashyati. Someone who understands and knows that actually the self is not doing anything. That person is actually seeing. Ahankara vimudhatma karta hamiti manyate. A person who has got his ahankara, who thinks, so the ahankara, the state of false ego has got different stages. There might be a stage which is really a very difficult stage, where one just has no idea that there is something other than the bodily experience. And then in that state, so that extreme state is namam dushkritino mudha prapadyante naradhama. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad-Gita that 4 kinds of people never surrender unto me. And so that is other extreme, where someone is totally in a kind of ahankara state, and because of that, it's a really unfortunate situation. Why is it an unfortunate situation? Because one is trying to get more and more happiness out of the senses, but it is limited, unfortunately. The happiness that one can get out of the senses has got a beginning and an end. Adyanta vanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. So this is here what is happening is Yunjan eva sadatmana yogi vigata kalmasha sukhena brahma sansparsham atyantam sukham ashnute. So Krishna here mentions atyantam sukham. So the atyantam sukham is, so sometimes we can, so basically let's try and understand how the body is composed of. Body is composed of 5 layers. Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya and Anandamaya. So the external body is made up of food, right? If we stop eating food, there will come a time when we will die, right? Because the body cannot subsist without food. So So the externalmost layer is Annamaya. Then there is Pranamaya. Pranamaya is the breath. The breath we are taking is the next layer. Then Manomaya. Manomaya is the mind. Then Vijnanamaya is the intelligence. And then Anandamaya. The fifth shield is called Anandamaya. Anandamayo Abhyasa. So that is the layer. When one can get to the Anandamaya layer, then one gets in touch with that happiness which has no beginning and no end. That is our innermost layer. Generally what happens is, we are either in the Annamaya kosha, which is the body sense gratification experience, or sometimes people who are concentrating on their breath when they are doing the yoga meditation, yoga practice, they are in the Pranamaya layer. Or someone who is trying to control their mind is in the Manomaya. Someone who is trying to do like a Jnani, who is trying to understand that I am Brahman, is in a Vijnanamaya layer. And the Bhakta is going to the deepest layer, which is the Anandamaya. So the Anandamaya is where one knows that the connection with Krishna is eternally established. At no point in time the connection goes away. And one actually experiences that every moment. So this is what is Santas Sadaiva Hrideshu Vilokayanti. It is mentioned Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. It is mentioned in Brahma Samhita, when one anoints one's eyes with a salve of love for Krishna. It's called the kajal, right? He puts a kajal. So this is the kajal of love for Krishna. So then Santas Sadaiva Hrideshu Vilokayanti. So then in that state, the person who has got that attitude is always seeing the Lord within the heart. Yam Shyama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam. How is it seeing the Lord? As Shyama Sundara, the transcendental, divine, dark, beautiful, divinely beautiful form. And this is another, the difficulty that the Jnanis have is that whenever there is form, unfortunately they think that there is only material form. Form cannot exist without matter. But this is the wonderful nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if we can have form in the material world, why cannot be there form in the spiritual world? Spiritual world should have everything that the material world has and even more. That is what spiritual world is. And the difference is that in the spiritual world, there is no difference between the self and the form of the self. In the material world, what is happening is, we have got a form, but this form is constantly changing. Like when we were born, we were like small, then we have grown childhood, then there is youth, then old age. So it's constantly changing. This is Krishna's, when Krishna's, when it is mentioned about Krishna, Anadim Achyutam Ananta Gunaswarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Nava Yauvanam Cha. About Krishna it is mentioned that he is Purana Purusha. From him everything is emanating. He is the first person, but he is always in a youthful state of existence. So this is if one is in a spiritual state of existence, there is no changes that are happening. One is purely in a state of total bliss, which is totally free from all beginnings and ends. It is an endless blissful state. So that is what is mentioned in this particular verse. Atyantam sukham ashnute sukhena brahma samsparshan. So samsparshan, that is an important word. Samsparshan means coming in touch with. So we come in touch with this, for example, a soft thing. And then when the skin is coming in touch with a soft thing, it feels that soft thing. If it is coming in touch with a hard thing, it feels a hard thing. So here what is being said is when in an eternal recognition of our eternal existence, when we come in touch with that is Brahma Sansparsha. And that existence is totally independent of all the external experiences that we are experiencing. Externally, sometimes we might get happiness, sometimes we might get something that we don't like. Those things keep happening. That is dvandva, the duality of the material world. But in the Brahman state, there is only bliss. There is nothing else. So that is what it is. Brahma Sansparsha. Then we come to the verse 29. Sarva bhutastham atmanam
Sarvabhutastham
Sarva bhutani chatmani
Sarvabhutani Chapmani
Ikshate yoga yuktatma
Ikshate Yoga Yuktatma
Sarvatra samadarshanaha.
Sarvatra Samadarshanaha
So here the word Sarva bhutastham,
Sarvabhutastham
situated in all beings.
situated in all beings.
Atmanam,
Atmanam
the super soul.
the super soul.
Sarva,
Sarva
all. Bhutani,
Bhutani
entities.
entities.
Cha,
Cha
also. Atmani,
Atmani
in the self.
in the self.
Ikshate,
Ikshate
does see.
does see.
Yoga yuktatma,
Yoga Yuktatma
one who is dovetailed in Krishna consciousness.
one who is dovetailed in Krishna consciousness.
Sarvatra,
Sarvatra
everywhere.
everywhere.
Samadarshanaha,
Samadarshanaha
seeing equally.
seeing equally.
The translation here is a true yogi
A true yogi
observes me
observes me
in all beings
in all beings
and also sees
and also sees
every being
every being
in me.
in me.
Indeed,
Indeed,
the self-realized person
the self-realized person
sees me,
sees me,
the same Supreme Lord,
the same Supreme Lord,
everywhere.
everywhere.
And so this is, in the previous verse, Krishna was mentioning Yunjan evam sadatmanam yogi, Yunjan evam sadatmanam, right? He was saying that he is constantly connected with the Atma, with the self. Now, he is talking about seeing the self everywhere. So now he is. So this is another way of remembering the Lord always. An example. We can take an example. Say someone gives us some gift, and when we look at that gift, we remember the person, right? So it is natural. So someone gives us a gift, we look at the gift, we remember the person. If we know that everything is gift of Krishna, everything is coming from Krishna. Krishna actually says, Aham sarvasya prabhava, matta sarvam pravartati. Krishna says, I am the origin of everything. From me comes everything else. Iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samavita. Once one knows this and experiences this, such a person is called Buddha, an intelligent person. And what does this intelligent person do? Bhava samanvita. He engages in my devotional service with full emotion. So if we can very clearly understand that everything is coming from Krishna, that means everything is a gift of Krishna. Then immediately we can remember Krishna. So this is the way of. So this is what is. So when Krishna is talking here about Sarva bhutastham atmanam Sarva bhutani chatmani Ikshate yoga yuktatma Sarvatra samadarshana. The Sarvatra samadarshana is very important. That last line is extremely important. So everywhere the person is seeing the Lord. So Maya tatam idam sarvam jagad avyakta murtina mach sthani sarva bhutani na chaham teshu avastita. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad-Gita that by me, in my unpervaded form, I am present everywhere. Maya tatam idam sarvam mach sthani sarva bhutani. Everything is existing based on me, but I am personally not there. Na chaham teshu avastita. So the Lord is present everywhere in the form of his energies. So he has got. So we were para and apara prakriti. He has got his superior energy and he has got his inferior energy. The superior energy is the consciousness that we have. That is the superior energy. The inferior energy is everything else other than the consciousness. So the body, which is made up of earth, water, fire, air and space, and then the subtle body, the mind, intelligence, false ego. So that is his inferior energy. So the Lord is present everywhere in the form of his energy. The example that is given is Eka Desha Stitas Agnir Jyotsna Vistarini Yatha. For example, the sun is present at one place. Agni, sun is a ball of fire. It is present at one place, but its presence is felt when the rays of the sun is coming, when the heat of the sun is coming. We know that sun is there. Parasya Brahmana Shakti Tathedam Akhilam Jagat. So similarly, the Lord, Goloka Eva Nivasati Akhilatma Bhuto. This Krishna is present in Goloka Vrindavan Dham. He is eternally engaged in his eternal pastimes, but his energies are spread all over the universe. And through his energy, everything is acting. Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriyacha. It is mentioned in the scriptures. It is natural. Just like if you look at our own body, for the heart to beat, the lungs to do the work, all the things it's all going on automatically, right? We are not doing anything for it to act. It's all going automatically. Exactly in the same way, the whole universe is like the sometimes the Vishishta Advaita. The Vishishta Advaita is qualified monism. That is the tattva of Ramanujacharya. In their philosophy, what it is said is this whole universe is like the body of the Lord. That is what they say. So the organs, just like we have our organs, and the organs are naturally performing everything. The universe is like the body of the Lord, and it is automatically the things are getting performed there. His energies are automatically acting. He personally does not have to do anything. But the wonderful nature of the Lord is that he personally comes as well. Yada yada hi dharmasya glana bhavati bharat. Namam parthasya kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana nana vaptam avaptamyam varta evacha karmani. Krishna actually mentions that. He says to Arjuna that actually I do not need to do anything. In this whole three worlds, I do not need to do anything. Because all his energies are automatically acting. And he can actually send his personal associates, and everyone will do whatever they want. He'll empower them. Shaktya-vesha avatar it is called. So all these agencies are available to him, but he personally comes. So this is the costless mercy of the Lord. So paritranaya sadhunam. So why? Because he loves his devotees. So when he's coming into this material world and he's engaging in these pastimes, he is giving those devotees a chance who are qualified to go back home, back to Godhead, to the spiritual world. So initially they will engage in his Bhaumya Leela pastimes, in his pastimes in the material world. And then the next stage is going to the Goloka Vrindavan. So this is Sarvatra Samadarshana is very important here, because one is seeing everywhere that it's Lord's energy, and therefore it is non-different from the Lord. And then this is a very beautiful verse 30, and then we'll conclude this. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra.
Yo mam pashyati sarvatra.
Sarvam cha mai pashyati.
Sarvam cha mai pashyati.
Tasyaham na pranashyami.
Tasyaham na pranashyami.
Sacha me na pranashyati.
Sacha me na pranashyati.
The word by word is yaha.
Yaha.
Whoever. Mam. Me. Pashyati. Sees. Sarvatra. Everywhere. Sarvam. Everything. Cha. And mai. In me. Pashyati. Sees. Tasya. For him. Aham. I. Na. Not. Pranashyami. Am lost. Saha. He. Cha. Also. Me. To me. Na. Not. Pranashyati. Is lost. The translation here is, for one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me. I am never lost. Nor is he ever lost to me. So, a very beautiful verse, and it's probably a nice way to end as well this particular session. Yomam pashyati sarvatra. So one who is seeing me everywhere. Sarvam cha mai pashyati. And everything in the Lord. Tasya ham na pranashyami. I am never lost to such a person. Sacha me na pranashyati. And that person is never lost to me.
Yes.
Very beautiful. So, again, in another chapter, Krishna gives some examples. He actually says, Rasoham apsu kaunteya. He says that I am the taste in water. So we drink water or any kind of taste, any kind of liquid taste if you're tasting, or any kind of solid, whatever taste. Prabhasmi shashi suryayo. He says that I am the Prabha. Prabha is the light of sun and the moon, or the electricity. Pranava sarva vedeshu. The Omkara mantra is there in the Vedas. This is a very primary Omkara mantra. Om. I am Om, Krishna says. Shabdam khai. Whatever sound that comes in the ether, that I am. Paurusham drishu. Whatever great attribute, whatever some talent. We sometimes see some people really talented. Krishna says that I am. The talent of a person I am. So, there is unlimited ways of remembering the Lord. It is not. So, if someone wants to remember the Lord, they can remember the Lord at any place, any point. This is what is called ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. There is a particular verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. It says that savai pumsam paro dharmo. So it says that for all the people, pumsam means all the people. For all the people, paradharma, the supreme activity that one has to do is yato bhaktir adhokshaje. What we have to do is loving devotional service to the Lord who cannot be seen by the blunt material eyes. He cannot. So, someone might go to the temple and see the deity of the Lord, and someone might just see the deity of the Lord. Someone might go to the temple and actually see the Lord himself there. So, this is adha krita akshaja. So, that means the Lord cannot be seen through the material eyes. One need to have the spiritual eyes to see the Lord. What does it mean by spiritual eyes? When one knows that He can be present in any form. It is His wish. It is His wish. He can, and that when one is in that state of existence, one can see the presence of Lord everywhere. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shuni Chaiva Shropakecha Pandita Samadarshina. It is mentioned by Krishna in Bhagavad-Gita that a Pandita, a person who has got real knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Samadarshina, sees everyone equally. So Krishna gives the example. So he says that a Pandita might see Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane, a Brahmana who has got Vidya and Vinaya, who has got knowledge. So with knowledge comes humility automatically. So if there is real knowledge, there is real humility. So one might see a Brahmana with real knowledge and real humility. Gavi, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi. Gavi is like a cow. Hastini, an elephant. So one is seeing different. Shuni is like a dog, and Shwapaka is a dog eater. So dog eater is unfortunately they're considered unfortunately low class because they're kind of trying to eat some animals like that. So, and you have got the Brahmana who has got the most wisdom, and you have got a dog eater, and you have got in between a cow, an elephant, a dog, different living entities. But Pandita Samadarshina. But a real person in knowledge sees that the Paramatma is present in all the living entities. Upadrashta Anumanta cha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara. It is mentioned by Krishna that the Paramatma, as the super soul, the Lord is present in the heart of all the living entities. Sarvasya chaham hrudi sannivishta. He says that I am in the heart of Mata Smritir Jnanam Apohanam cha. Smriti is knowledge, Smriti is remembrance, Jnanam is knowledge, and Apohanam is forgetfulness. So, remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness is coming from the Lord. So, if someone wants to remember the Lord provides all the opportunities to that person to remember Him. How? Here. Yomam Pashyati Sarvatra. One is seeing me everywhere. Sarvam Chamai Pashyati. Seeing everything in me. Tasya Hamna Pranashyami. To such a person I am never lost. Sacha Mena Pranashyati. And I am also never lost to such a person. So it is a reciprocity. The relationship between the Lord and the devotee is like, that is why Krishna says whatever way one comes to me, I reciprocate. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sateva bhajamyaham. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad-Gita. So, if someone wants to hate the Lord provides all the opportunities for that person to hate him. Like we can take the example of Kamsa. But the wonderful nature of all this thing is Kama Dveshat Bhayat Snehat Yad Bhakta Ishware Mana Aveshyatat Adham Hitva Bhavastat Gatim Gata. It is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. It does not matter what way one is remembering the Lord. The important point is one is remembering the Lord. For example, Kamsa was remembering the Krishna to kill him. His only mindset was, I want to kill Krishna. But because he was remembering Krishna, that is the only thing that the Lord sees. That is the wonderful nature of the Lord. So, if you see, for example, Putana, Putana, again, the same mindset like Kamsa. She wanted to kill Krishna. But Krishna was seeing the motherly nature of Putana. So this is, that's why it is mentioned, Kama, Dvesha, Bhayat, Sneha. Kama is through passion, Dvesha is through anger or jealousy or hatred, Bhaya is through fear, and Sneha is love. So Sneha is something that should be naturally there in the living entities, but the other three, especially the Dvesha and Bhaya, that is coming in a negative way, right? It's like a demoniac kind of attitude. But even then, the costless mercy of the Lord is such that even they, Bhavas tad gatim gata. What it is meaning is, Bhava means lots and lots of living entities. Tad gatim is to his destination. Gata is reached. So all of them reach the destination of going back home, back to Godhead. Even though the way they were remembering the Lord was not right. But actually the devotees' way of remembering should be Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. It is said by Srimad Rupa Goswami says that devotees are always Anukula to the Lord. Anukula means always thinking well of the Lord. They are not trying to. This is the thing, all these negative emotions. If we are having it towards other living entities, indirectly we are having towards the Lord as well, because all the living entities are part and parcel of Krishna. So these are the things that are unfortunately bringing us to this material world. When all these negative tendencies are there, and when we are engaging in these discussions of Bhagavad-Gita, what is happening is Hridhi Antastohi Abhadrani Vidunoti. So whatever negative, so as we were mentioning about Chitta, right, the subconscious mind, which is a storehouse of unlimited experiences, that is starting to getting. So we are putting the experiences that are in relationship with the Lord when we are engaging in these activities. So slowly the Chitta is getting purified. Chitta Shuddhi, it is called. Cheto Darpada Marjanam. Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentions in Shikshashtakam. What is happening is the mind or the Chitta or the subconscious mind is considered like a mirror. And when we are engaging in this Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam, when we are engaging in this Sankirtana Yajna, this discussion about Krishna, slowly that cleansing activity is taking place. And then there will come a time when there is Shraddha Bhakti Anukramishati. Shraddha Rati Bhakti. So Shraddha is faith, Rati is attachment, and Bhakti is love for the Lord. So I'll stop with this particular verse. This verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, it says, Satam Prasanga Mama Virya Samvido. Satam is those people who are after Sat, the supreme absolute truth. So when those people are coming together, Satam, and they are discussing about Krishna, Mama Virya Samvido, Bhavanti Hrit Karna Rasayana Katha. It mentions that when the people who are interested in discussing about Krishna come together, slowly they start relishing these topics. It becomes Rasayana Hrit Karna Katha. So to the Hrit means heart and Karna is ears. It becomes very relishable. then what happens is that Joshna Gashu Apavarga Vartmani. Very soon, one comes out of this Pavarga. Pavarga is this Parishram, Thena, Vyarthata, Bhaya and Mrityu. The Papa Babhama. That is a material world. The material world is called Pavarga because all these things are there. We are constantly doing lots and lots of hard work. We are getting lots of difficulties. Then Parishram, Vyarthata, Bhaya, we are afraid. And then finally there is death, Mrityu. So slowly we start coming out of this Pavarga, Apavarga Vartmani. And then what is happening is Shraddha, Rati, Bhakti, Anukramishiti. Our faith, our attachment to the Lord and our love for the Lord continuously keeps increasing. And then we come to a state when we come to a state, what Krishna says in this particular verse. We can see the Lord everywhere and the Lord in everything. Then we never forget the Lord. Whatever position we are in, we will never forget the Lord. So with that, thank you very much for listening. If there are any comments or questions, we can discuss.
शिवोहम आजो आजो.
These are really very nice verses,
Yes.
In terms of if you look at
Very
where did
interesting.
we so where did we start with 26? 26 was Yato Yato Nishchalati. So Yato Yato Nishchalati, and then here in the end Yomam Pashyati Sarvatra. So starting from there, it's quite interesting. So in the 26, he was saying that wherever the mind is there, bring it back to the self. And in 30, he is saying that one who sees me everywhere. So it's quite interesting. See, in every way, we can be focused on the Lord. So the last way that the Lord said is that if we see the Lord everywhere, we will never forget Him. There is no chance of forgetting Him.
Yes.
And then the other way is when we think that all the other things are not Lord, then we have to bring it back.
Yes.
So bring it back to the self or bring it back to the Mahamantra. It's interesting. Anything to discuss? No? Okay. Thank you very much. Srila Bhagavad-Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we'll sing the Narasimha mantra. Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Jai Jagadish जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव
जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव
जय नरहरि जय नरहरि जय नरहरि जय नरहरि
जय नरहरि जय नरहरि जय नरहरि जय नरहरि
जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय
प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय भक्त प्रहलाद
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल
नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल
कृष्णदेव भगवान की जय
जय।
प्रहलाद महाराज की जय
जय
नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णकृष्णावतारे श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामे नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे सर्वं श्री कृष्णार्पणमस्तु कृष्णे वदेस्तु हरे कृष्ण
हरे कृष्ण